I've always had an infatuation with Aiki Jiu Jitsu, everything from its entering techniques, circular movements, locks, throws, and strikes. There are so many overlaps with karate, it's not even funny. And as martial artists, we're all related biomechanically. And as much as people crap on Aikido and Aiki Jiu Jitsu, the principles behind them are solid. In this video, we're going to take a look at some combative principles demonstrated by UK Sensei Brian Bates, a good friend and practical karate specialist. We'll see how these principles relate biomechanically to karate, kihon, and other martial arts. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I went to the UK and I cross-trained with Brian Bates. He's a good friend of mine, an Aiki Jiu Jitsu player, practical karate guy, and an avid cross trainer in all kinds of arts and combat sports. When I visited there, it was a cross collaboration seminar. Brian showcased some Aiki Jiu Jitsu principles combatively. I showcased some elbow principles as it pertained to karate, and Mal Sanchez Jones did some kudo. It was an excellent experience where we got a chance to cross-train in different areas. I had a great time. So in this video, we're going to be looking at a particular footwork movement and a trapping movement. We're going to make some cross-training connections as to how it pertains to karate and other traditional arts, combat sports, and tactical combatives. Let's check it out.
Now I've gone left to left, so lead, hand, lead, left. Step in. As I step in, my hands are up. So step in, strike. Come down to the hand. Thumbs on the back, fingers on the inside. So both hands on. Withdraw the closest leg. It's going to come out. Right.
So we just saw the sequence, the Aiki Jiu Jitsu sequence of crushing in, striking down center line, inflicting some sort of a lock, kazushi, and takedown, and all that kind of stuff. Before it explodes onto the comment section, yes, we know this is theoretical, and yes, this has nothing to do with fighting. And let me just tell you, Brian knows this too. Let me tell you a little bit about Brian. So first of all, at the seminar, Brian talked about this. This was a theoretical flow. It was a flow drill that allowed us to develop attributes, skills. And I just got to say, the skill is not the drill, and the drill is not the skill. Okay? They're totally different things. Drills build skills. And in this particular case, you know, it is theoretical. And Brian knows this, given his background. I mean, Brian is a reality-based martial artist. He's a combat sport player. He's a tactical combatives instructor. And he runs the Bunkai Bastards, which is basically a group that takes practical karate and puts it through tests and scenarios and all this kind of stuff. Brian trains reality-based kind of training, dirty clinch, dirty boxing, and weapons deployments, and learning how to deal with all tactics around weapons and all of that kind of stuff. So he knows what's up, okay? And so just wanted to put it out there. You know, it's really frustrating in the social media world where people see technical videos and they just judge based on just snapshots without knowing any context about anything, right? So I just wanted to say that yes, once again, has nothing to do with fighting. It is a drill. Okay, guys? All right, so now, today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a deep dive and we're gonna do an analysis into the footwork portion of this drill and the trapping and smashing in portion of this drill. Let's take a look at the footwork. Now, the footwork is quite interesting. If you take a look at it, it has to do, the main footwork there is the Tenkan footwork, which is found a lot in Aiki Jiu Jitsu, that's spin-off, okay, which is also found in Aikido, and combat sports use it as well as tactical combatives, and it's pretty much used everywhere in order to get some sort of tactical advantage on your opponent. Actually, let's take a look at the sequence involving this footwork, okay? So you got the bridge hand, you're coming in, you're smashing, and look at Brian's footwork, he steps off. So the footwork in close is, you know, you're stepping and pivoting, right? And beautiful piece of work. Let's look at our first example from boxing, okay? Now, in boxing, they use this to get a tactical advantage on their opponents, okay? Getting out of punches, punch range, or slipping away from a punch and then throwing in the arsenal. So here's an example. So here's an example from boxing. So you step off and pivot, you step off and pivot. Okay, so here you fire shots and you step off and pivot, you throw your shots and pivot and throw your shots again. So, okay, here's another example from shadow boxing. You pivot, and you're continuously pivoting to get a tactical advantage. Now, this pivot is also used in Muay Thai, but it's used a little differently. It's used from a clinch range. So you will see a lot of Muay Thai fighters use this to disbalance their opponent, to affect kazushi, okay? So that they can throw in more shots or possibly affect some sort of a takedown. So let's take a look. Clinch in, step in, pinch and pivot, right? Step in, clinch and pivot, right? And you step in one more time and clinch and pivot. So yeah, Muay Thai's players use this quite well. And I got a chance to cross-train in Muay Thai for a couple of years. And every now and then when I have time, I'll do a drop-in into Muay Thai class. And it's always a great workout. And we work all these principles, right? And yes, it's in a combat sport arena, and it's consensual violence, and
yes, there's rules and blah blah blah, and you can go and yeah, it has nothing to do with fighting. And
okay, this nonsense has to stop. I'll tell you why. Because let's look at it from tools. If you look at it from a tool point of view, pivots are good to get out of the way. So you use it for your context. In this case, it's used to get out of the way in a sport context, but you can use it in a self-defense situation too. It just makes you better at moving and getting tactical advantages. So you use it for your context. It doesn't matter which. I just had to say that. Okay, so now let's take a look at another context. Ashihara karate, one of the best application kind of styles. It's related to Kyokushin, and Ashihara, I believe it's an offshoot of Kyokushin. They share this Muashi Uke, which is the hooking hand, a circular hand, that singular collar tie with a grab, and they use it so well by crashing in and affecting the balance and turning and hitting, and oh, it's gorgeous. You're gonna see some footage from good friend Jürgen Haller, Sensei Jürgen Haller in Germany. Fantastic gentleman. I met him a couple years ago. We became friends. He shows up to my seminars every now and then when I do visit in Germany, and you know, I've purchased some of his books. I'm a follower of his work, and I just love his stuff because yes, Ashihara is one of his bases, but he cross-trains in all these other arts too, and he makes it very functional. Let's take a look at his example where he uses this Muashi Uke to affect balance. He turns me and he throws in all kinds of different options. It's beautiful. Let's check it out. So yeah, so getting in, Shuto Uke, you know, and here's the turn. Okay, if you see, he steps back, and then he's gonna fire some stuff in here. Knee, and bam, and throws in some dirt. So here he gets in, he enters in, he controls the head, fires, and then watch this, he's gonna step off after the Shutoke, steps off with the Muashi Uke, turns me, okay, breaks my balance, and as that happens, he's gonna throw stuff in. Okay, so, and the offbeat there. So it is a beautiful technique for off balancing. It's a beautiful technique to take an angle, either to take an angle from space or to take an angle attached. It's beautiful. So attached or unattached. Great technique. And it's all related to that Aiki Jiu Jitsu movement. It's the same principle. Okay, we're going to use another example now from Tactical Combatives. So a while back, I invited Sensei Martin, who's now become a good friend of mine and my brother in Germany, from Neuss, and he came down not too long ago, and we did a knife seminar. And in this particular drill, it is a distraction drill where, you know, you pair up with somebody, you work some sort of self-defense situation and a reaction to it, and then suddenly a knife is deployed. You got to read that, disarm, and continue, and reset and continue. The drill teaches you how to read, and it teaches you how to get surprised by the knife attack. You don't know what's going on. Anyway, I use the spin-off, the tenkan, the pivot, to do the knife disarm. And it's the exact same biomechanical principle as the Aiki Jiu Jitsu tenkan. Let's check it out. Okay, so Martin puts on the hold, and then he starts stabbing. I disarm, and then I grab. I do a 2-on-1, and I'm struggling. I do that step off and spin, drop my weight, shoulder pinch, and disarm. Okay. It wasn't clean. It was kind of dirty. There was a bit of a mess there, but I used that principle. So as you can see, these principles can be used in all kinds of contexts, combat sport and in self-defense. The footwork, right? And let's look at one final example of the footwork drill from my dojo. So at my dojo, we cross-train and mix things up. We apply principles from practically everywhere. Here's an example where we're going to be using that tenkan footwork, that pivot footwork from a self-defense scenario. Someone comes in for a double hand push. You take the push, crash in, grab something, spin off, and hit and try to escape. Check it out and pay attention to the tenkan. Okay? So here we go. So push comes in, you crash in, grab something, use the Mawashi Uke, take a strike, trip maybe, and go for it. So push comes in, you crash, control the neck with the Mawashi Uke, throw in some knees. Here we go, check it out, crash in, grab, and you see that spin, watch my legs, and that spins right there. Okay, there you go. Boom. Okay. Now, as you can see, this particular concept was used in this scenario. So the self-defense kind of thing, it can be used to disbalance somebody. So again, a great example used in combat sport and self-defense. So now we're going to be looking at a striking and trapping portion of Brian's sequence. And here he uses a pad drill to elucidate that idea. Let's check it out.
So I want to work on the getting offline and the striking part. That's the bit that's, I don't need to lock. If I get this right, get that right. So it's the basics we taught, hand, foot's coming round. And then this is secondary. It's giving me time now to do this part. Okay.
Now, I love the striking and trapping. It's one of my favorites to use. It's found in a lot of combat sports. It's tested, pressure tested. And if you take a look at some UFC fights or even boxing bouts, you'll see them using this type of functional trapping quite easily because it's simplistic and it works. At the seminar, we practiced this, and what's cool is a lot of us had different ways of expressing that striking and trapping. In particular, Coach Martin, you'll see an example of him, striking, trapping, and locking up all at the same time. It was a beautiful example of how that can be done simultaneous. Check that out.
Okay.
Do that again. I missed that seminar. It was such a great time. Anyway, striking and trapping, pulling and hitting. There's one style that comes to mind that specializes in that really well. You want to guess? Wing Chun. That's right. Wing Chun is phenomenal at that range. Trapping, hitting, checking, all these kind of stuff. Here's an example from Wing Chun where they use this thing called a LARP sao, which has the same biomechanical principle as touching that hand, keeping that tactile sensitivity, pulling and hitting. Check it out. Okay, so you have trap and strike and trap and strike and straight blast and trap and I believe a shovel hook and straight blast. Just a beautiful technique. It works. It's simple. You can test it out in your team. Tell you, you're going to get some success out of it. Now, finally, we're going to look at an example from traditional karate. We're going to look at some traditional karate, the hikite and the punching, often misunderstood by a lot of people who don't understand it. If you take a look at the kanji, it means pull, right? The hikite means to pull, a pulling hand. And that's exactly it. You're grabbing onto something, you're pulling something, you're hitting, you're getting someone off balance, you're parrying something off to the side, and it doesn't matter which hand you use, you're going to just use that hikite kind of motion. Here's an example of the traditional form of the hikite. Demonstrate here, the pull and punch, the pull and punch, and the pull and punch, right? Nothing special, very standard karate, and I'm going to showcase how you can use it from a combat sport point of view in boxing and kickboxing, where you're just moving around and kicking and punching and trapping and hitting, using it in that context. And I'm going to demonstrate how we can use it in self-defense. Here's an example where I demonstrate you're pulling down the hand and you're bringing it back. Now the hikite is pulled towards your face as opposed to your hips. So you're pulling and hitting, right? So you're pulling and hitting here. Here you're keeping it right, kind of midline, where you're pulling and hitting, trapping and hitting. Here you're crashing in from a self-defense point of view, crashing in and getting heavy on the hand, trapping up and throwing in the shot. Next example I'm going to showcase is from the rear hand. Yes, from the rear hand. So you're going to rear hand and lead punch. Rear hand and lead punch. And it's touch and go. Touch and go. So there you go. Ba-bam. Right in there. Okay. One of my favorites. I use it all the time in sparring. As I said, it's used very often in combat sport world. It works. So there you have it, guys. We looked at the Aiki Jiu Jitsu drill. So thank you, Brian, for showcasing that. Crashing in, striking, manipulating, and taking down. And we looked at the footwork and the trapping aspects and how it pertained to combat sport and self-defense. And why do we bother looking and making these connections? Well, we can get easily caught up in style, guys. And as I said, when we look at a style, we would just see this little snapshot of techniques in this context. And that really doesn't do any justice to the concept, right? When I take a look at styles, I think of styles as a repository of biomechanical principles that can be universally applied across combat sports, tactical combatives, and traditional martial arts. And it really comes down to just using it for your own context. And that's where all the differences come into play, right? So that's really it. You just gotta look at these concepts. And here we looked at the concept of tenkaning, and we looked at the concept of trapping and hitting. And by turning to different styles, you get to see different flavors and develop different tactics for your tool development. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, I'd really appreciate a like, subscribe, share. And you know what, if you don't, guess what? The internet truly is a big place, and you're bound to find something that you like, even though it's not mine. All right, all the best, one love, keep training hard, stay tuned to the next video. Okay, peace.